Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to What Would Dorcy Do Friday. It's Friday. Happy Good Friday, everyone. Happy Easter weekend, everyone. I'm super excited to be having beautiful weather outside and that it's Friday and it's the weekend. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to jump on. I'm Dorcy Pruder, the CEO and founder of the Conscious Co-Parenting Institute, and I'm excited that you're here. Today on What Would Dorcy Do, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about strategy in dealing with the professionals and the family court system. So a lot of people are asking us a lot of questions about the high road. How do I get a high road? For those of you that don't know what the high road is, the high road is our 4-day intensive workshop that gets court ordered all over the world for families that are experiencing extreme emotional cutoffs with their children. So usually after a high conflict divorce, the children who are split from one parent by the other parent or other family members. Oftentimes we get involved to help stabilize the chosen parent or what people call the targeted parent and teach them the skills that they need to recover their children. Now, some of those families need more intensive work. There's proof that it's child psychological abuse, and oftentimes the court is confused about what to do or what is actually going on. And so today I wanted to talk to you about a method that can move you from where you are to where you want to be in recovering your kids. And oftentimes, most of you guys have experienced in the family court system some level of mental health. So it could be that you get court ordered into therapy. It could be that the child's ordered into therapy. A lot of you have experienced a custody evaluation and you spend a lot of time and money working with a mental health provider to talk about the family dynamic, and you go through all of this rigmarole and all of this time only to come out the other side without a proper diagnosis and, even worse, a treatment plan. And so oftentimes they miss the diagnosis and then they don't tell you or the court what needs to be done to resolve the family issue. A lot of times the solution is more therapy. A lot of times the solution is eliminating the parent that's actually being alienated. A lot of times the solution is reducing the parenting time. And it can be really frustrating to go through the process and come out the other end spending all of this time and money and not getting the results that you're looking for. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this booklet that Dr. Childress wrote several years ago called The Single Case ABAB Design or Assessment and Remedy. And it's so funny because I didn't understand that this is actually an ABA single case design is a research methodology. And years ago, when Dr. Childress and I first met and we started working together or collaborating together, he was talking about solving this family dynamic and creating a therapeutic intervention and things of that nature. And when we met, I talked to him about the high road. And one of the frustrations was really getting the proper court order. And talking to Dr. Childress about that, one of the interesting things was we have a process called custody resolution method where we go through the data, we tag it based on the pathology, the diagnostic symptoms in the child. So we focus on what's happening to the child. And then we move out from there, who's causing it, mom, dad, or both. And then what do you do about it? So oddly enough, or not, it's really the process that mental health providers should be doing. They should be assessing the family dynamic. They should be diagnosing what's going on and then putting forth a treatment plan that resolves the family pathology or the dynamic as soon as possible. And in discussing this with Dr. Childress, one of the things that he talked about was how in therapy, things should be solved in 3 to 6, 9 months tops, or 12 on the very outside of solving pathology. And so when I talked about the 4-day intervention, we talked about how it works and why it works. And, the light bulb came on for him. And I don't remember. I think I was in his office and we were talking about how to get the court to order it and why it was relevant and why it works and all of those things. And then we shot the 12 foundation videos, which you've seen on our YouTube. Maybe you've accessed them on our website. Dr. Childress came out and we filmed those in my studio about, I think in 2014. And when we did that, we talked again about getting things through the legal system and why it's so frustrating and why is the legal system trying to solve a mental health crisis in your family. And they don't understand what's happening. And then the mental health community surrounding family court is confused and they're not properly assessing and diagnosing. And so what do? And then Dr. Childress went back to his office as we talked about how I solve it and how I get things done in court. And he wrote this little booklet called the ABAB, Single Case Design, Assessment, and Remedy. And I remember reading it. There's even a video of us talking about it. And I remember thinking, wow, this is brilliant. This takes exactly what I was talking about and walks you through how to actually use the high road as a augmentation to treatment or to use it as an assessment and remedy tool. And so one of the things that we do is we follow the ABA single case design as an assessment and remedy when we're working with our families, talking about it through custody resolution method, and also for those clients that we're working with in consultation, moving them through the process and working with their lawyers. And so the beautiful thing about the ABA and using it with the high road is it is a complete process. So let me just step you through it. So a single case ABA design is a research design. I didn't realize that before, but I know that now. And A is where your family is now. So A is you're in the legal system, maybe you're in therapy, things aren't working out. You've been seeing maybe individual therapists, your children are seeing therapists, your ex probably is not seeing a therapist. Maybe there's a family systems therapist, maybe there's an evaluator. You've gone through all of this stuff, it's not working. That's A. B is a high road and a no contact order. So this can be used as an assessment when you're going through the legal system and your presentation, if your lawyers get this, and this is who has to present it. The lawyers need to be able to understand what the single case ABA design is and how to use it with the high road as an assessment and remedy. So B is the high road, which begins at the beginning of the no contact. It's a 4-day workshop where we walk you, the chosen parent, and your children through 4 days of skill building and coaching to teach you and your child how to be in relationship again together, and then teach the child how to be in a relationship with both parents. That's critical. So we go through this process, and then there's a short vacation, and then there's no contact with the other parent temporarily. Okay, normally it's 90 days. We've done it with a little bit shorter time, and we've done it with more time, depending on the family situation and the child's ability to resist the pathology of the other parent. Now, if you don't have a diagnosis, okay, if you've gone through all of this and you don't have a diagnosis, which you probably don't, or you have a diagnosis of parental alienation, which is not a diagnosis, that is not going to get you what you want. And it also creates an appealable order because parental alienation is not a diagnosable pathology. Okay. It's not diagnosable. We can talk about this until the cows come home, but that is a fact. Okay. You cannot diagnose parental alienation. It is not an accepted construct by the American Psychological Association. Okay. Now we know what it is. And so I know what's happening in your family. And Dr. Childress uses when he talks about the assessment process, and he has another book out called The Assessment of Attachment-Related Pathology Surrounding Divorce, okay? If you can get your mental health provider to do this, great. Then you don't need the ABA single case design. But getting them to do this, he went from writing his big book, Foundations, to me asking him, hey, can you make that like a 5-page document or something smaller? And, he wrote a 30-some page document. And then the ABA, I was like, can you give me something to really help with the legal system and the ABA single case design? Then, I think this is 30-some pages, 34 pages. And I have a short form of this. I explained to him when I was working with the guardian ad litem one time on a case, and like, it's too much. The judge isn't going to look at it. The guardian's not looking at it. Can you give us something smaller? And he was annoyed, but he gave me something smaller. He gave me a 5 or 6 page document. So, Dr. Childress has put forth so much work. This body of work is tremendous. But the single case ABA design literally takes you out of this back and forth of needing a proper assessment, because they're not doing it. So if you can have an assessment, you don't need an ABA, okay? The ABA, the single case ABA, allows you to go through a process using the legal system. So if you've heard Dr. Childress talk, he talks about an assessment which leads to diagnosis, which leads to treatment. Yes, that is correct. That's the way it should be done, and that is what mental health should be doing, but they're not, okay? They're not. You're in family court, and you're asking the family court system, you're asking the law to solve a mental health crisis in your family, and they don't know how. They don't know what to do, okay? They're lost and confused, so now they're relying on mental health, and they're relying on the forensic psychologists surrounding the family court system who are not properly assessing, they're not diagnosing, and they're not putting forth proper treatment protocols to resolve your family dynamic. So the ABA works as an alternative. Again, A is where your family is. You've gone through all of this stuff, the legal system, maybe you have a mental health provider, maybe you've had an evaluation that hasn't put forth an assessment or a proper assessment. Yes, a diagnosis and a treatment plan. You've done all of these things. So then B is a temporary no contact order and a high road. The high road is an augmentation to treatment. Okay. It's a 4-day workshop, psychoeducational skill building workshop, where we work with you and your child to recover the unbreakable bond. We teach you the skills to be in relationship again together, short period of no contact, a little vacation, no contact with the other parent. During that temporary no contact, we don't just say, good luck, other parent. There is a maintenance care protocol, an aftercare protocol. There's a family systems protocol that works in conjunction with what we do with the local family systems therapist. So somebody that will be working with your family in your local jurisdiction. We can't be everywhere. So we need to be able to work with the people that work with your family already. They will teach those same skills to the other parent. So the goal isn't about elimination. The goal is about integration. And the ABA allows you to move away from trying to find a mental health provider to properly assess and diagnose when they're not doing it. It's nearly impossible to find. They just aren't doing it. They're not doing the work properly. And so this says, A is where we are. It's not working. We're asking for an alternative to try something else. Give us 3 months. Give us 3 months to fix the situation. We'll recover the children in the high road. You will have this this window where the children will be integrated with you. And then after that, they will reintegrate with the other parent in a controlled environment. When they start to reintegrate with the other parent in a controlled environment with the mental health provider, that is the second A. Okay, so A, where you are right now. B, high road, no contact, maintenance care, so family systems therapy and some of the other things that we provide to the therapist. And then A, reintegration with the other parent. Okay, the goal isn't about elimination. The goal is about integration. We want to integrate with the other parent. In that second A is when we determine, are the children or is the child ready to be back in relationship? Are they able to handle the pathogenic parenting of the other parent or the parenting practices of the other parent? And we use this wonderful thing called the relationship rating scale. And it is in the ABAB single case design. It looks like this. You've probably seen it. This is the document. It's in the book, but we use this. We use this relationship rating scale before, during, and after the workshop. We're monitoring the child's behavior. Are they able to stay in normal range with you, the parent? Normal range in a attitude from hostile to pleasant. Somewhere in the middle is where they're not perfect, right? A 4 or above. Is the child cooperative or are they defiant? So if they're defiant, then they're down here in a 1, or if they're cooperative, then they're up at a 7, but we don't expect perfection, somewhere in the middle. And then the third is, are they withdrawn from you? Are they not talking to you, hiding out in their room? That typical behavior you see prior to the high road. Or are they social? Are they interacting with you? They smile easily and fairly connected, right? Maybe they accept signs of affection. They're calling you mom or dad. They've moved past the behavior that they have before they get to the workshop. Okay. We're also looking at your parenting styles. Oftentimes, parents that come to the high road, they are either extremely permissive or extremely authoritarian. And our goal is to get you in the middle. There are some situations where you need to exert your authority, usually in safety issues. There are some situations that you can be more relaxed and engage the child in decision-making, choices that are appropriate, age appropriate for the children. So we teach you these things in the workshop, okay? So we're monitoring. You're monitoring before, during, and after. Now, when the child is reintroduced to the other parent in the controlled environment, in the family therapy, this other parent is learning the skills as well. Everybody has the same skills. The child is lifted from the middle and taught how to be in relationship with both parents. Okay, really critical. This is one of the things that really sets us apart from everybody else. We actually care about the entire family system. This is not about elimination. This is about integration. And a lot of programs we hear where you get into the process and they don't care what happens to the other parent. Well, I think a lot of that is because a lot of people are targeted parents themselves, or they've dealt with the pathology in their practice, and so they have no empathy for the other parent. We have empathy for the entire family. We know that the child loves both parents, and the child wants this to stop. They want to be out of the middle. They want to be in relationship with mom and dad. They love you both. And in order for them to be able to receive and give love to both of you, they need to learn the skills that haven't been taught so that they can be lifted from the middle. Okay. So here's the magical thing about the ABA single case design. If, when the parent is reintroduced, the child stays in normal range, 4 and above, they stay in normal range in their relationship with you. I'm not talking about maybe they have a bad day. Everybody has a bad day, but consistently they stay in normal range with you. Then the no contact ends. You move to shared parenting. You move to a shared parenting arrangement, which is the way it should have been in the beginning, right? You move back to a normal parenting arrangement, and the child goes back and forth and remains in relationship with both of you. The family systems therapist stays in contact with the family to make sure that the transition stays healthy for the child, okay? If, however, then we're done. ABA, single case design, we have solved the problem and everybody moves on, okay? Now, let's say at that second A that the child's pathology resurfaces, that their child falls to a 1 or a 2 in the 3 levels of the relationship rating scale with you, and they fall back down. The symptomology rises back up in the child. Well, then we know for a fact that it's the reintroduction of the other parent that is causing this behavior in the child, that everything was okay, and then the reintroduction is what's causing the child to falter again. We know from the child's behavior that they're just not ready for contact yet. And so we go into the second B, the second protective separation, or the second no contact, temporary no contact. There's a little more work to do to get the child prepared in order to reintegrate with the parent, okay? The goal, reintegration, right? Integration, not elimination. We want to teach children how to be in relationship with both parents. Children love both parents. They love their mom. They love their dad. It's the only parents they're going to have. And bonus parents are there to uplift and support. So if you're a bonus parent watching this, your job is to hold the outer container so that the family, which is always going to be a family, can learn how to be in the new family paradigm together. Okay. So just remember that when the relationship, the marriage is intact, it's the marriage that holds the family together. But when the marriage ends, it's the children. It's the children that bond the family together, but they're always a family. You are always a family, always mom and always dad. Bonus, hold the container on the outside for support. Okay. So that's what I would do. That's the ABAB, single case design, because you probably heard me talk about it. And I know Dr. Childress has talked about it. And I know people have asked, how do I get this done in the family court system? This formula is simple. If your lawyer understands it, they can present this to the court as a simple assessment and remedy. So if you don't have a mental health provider that's going to properly assess and diagnose and put forth a treatment plan, then this is an alternative. This is the alternative to present to the legal system to help you move through it and help them understand what needs to happen in order to recover your family. So with that being said, I'm going to say peace in so you can have peace out. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Easter for those who celebrate. For those that don't, have an awesome weekend. Make sure you spend it with people who love you. Treat yourself well, and I hope we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye now.